Safari is a Swahili word meaning journey, and in the context of the World Rally Championship, it is certainly not a journey for the faint-hearted. In the words of former world champion Nicky Biasion, the worst rally and the best. For Welshman David Llewellins, the Kenyan rally is a new experience. This is a journey he is making for the first time. The safari covers 3,000 miles in 6 days of fiercely competitive driving. The first leg is from Nairobi to Mombasa, on the second day back to Nairobi, the third leg Nairobi to Nakuru, then Nakuru to Eldoret, Eldoret to Nyeri, and the final leg back to Nairobi.
The first 3 weeks I was here back in January, it was all very interesting because, you know, it's so different, and seeing all the animals and the different way of life here, it was very interesting. Now I've been here 9 weeks, I feel a bit like a local, and I very much feel like going home, to be honest.
This year saw the return of Nissan to World Championship rallying. For the safari they entered 3 cars, prepared in Japan but registered in Britain, and run by Nissan Motorsport Europe from Milton Keynes. As for all motorsporting events these days, team preparation is thorough and meticulous. For such a rigorous and unpredictable event as the safari, all eventualities have to be considered and catered for, and the backup facilities have to be seen to be believed.
We've been practicing the route in a car very similar to the rally car, and we've done another 3 laps of the route. So we know the roads fairly well, but all the time it's been in dry conditions. And now it looks like the rains are coming, and they say the roads change so much with the rain, so I'm a little bit nervous about that, hoping that it will stay reasonably dry for the event itself. But the car seems very good. It hasn't given us many problems in the practice. When you think we've done, I think, 16,000 miles in the last sort of 5 weeks, you know, it's pretty good. The odd broke the odd suspension part and so forth, but when you look at the mileage and how rough it is, I think it bodes very well for the event.
150.
On a recce in the Kenyan bush, Llewellyn dictates his pace notes to co-driver Peter Diekman, and these critical notes will be fed back to him during the actual rally.
Then 4 left. Brake, left entry. 5 right. Times 2 drift. 30. 5 left. Keep out.
Peter Diekman, my new co-driver this year, he's helped me a fair bit out here. He's been here 4 times before, and he's helped me with the notes in as much as I was putting too much information. And you pace note the whole route, unlike the British rallies when you just pace note the 15 mile of special stage and then you drive another 50 mile to the next stage and then you do so forth again. Here you pace note it all because it's all competitive, the whole sort of 3,000 miles of it. So if you've got him talking to you too much in your year all day for 10 hours, then if it's too much, you don't take it in. So we've sort of simplified my pace notes and made it easier to understand, easier for him to read, and so that I don't lose concentration, hopefully.
Nissan were running 3 cars, and their choice of drivers was a clear indication of their determination to do well. Former world champion Stig Blomqvist, the Kenyan Mike Kirkland, and the British champion David Llewellins.
The Safari Rally still is the biggest challenge in the World Championship by far. The distance is much greater than most stage events as we know them in Europe, and the challenge really is there because of the size of operation and the ground to be covered. We've had a man out here for 3 months now controlling the whole thing, setting it up, bringing in vehicles which have to come in by sea, and the setup, we have to start with a completely bare shell in the workshop, and we built in offices, small stores, and really got the whole thing working so that we can prepare the cars efficiently. They incidentally are air freighted in from Japan direct, and then we work on the cars here. And this year we're going to be the 150 strong, which includes Japanese people, Obviously, a lot of local Kenyans come out and help us. We have to have mud crews, for example. If it really is bad weather, they stand by with Range Rovers and so on, pull the cars through puddles and swamps. And the whole organisation really is a mixture of, I think we counted 7 different nationalities, all working together, one objective, and that's to go out and win.
Would the Sunny GTIR be the car to achieve that win?
It's turbocharged 16 valve, and it's 4-wheel drive system. We can adjust the torque from front to rear, and also you switch it to automatic, and there's sensors on each wheel that put the drive to the wheel that's got the most grip. So it's best on automatic, and it's quite nice to drive on automatic. But if you don't like it, you can put it to manual and set the torque split how you like. Normal 6-speed gearbox. We can change gear without the clutch for left foot braking, so there's no synchro mesh. Sometimes if you get it wrong, it's a bit noisy. Then of course we've got more trips for measuring the distance on the Safari. Usual communication with the aircraft and helicopters. We have a extinguisher, a handheld here, and we have a plumbed in system. Press that red button, the extinguisher will go off underneath the bonnet and then in the fuel tank. The old roll cage, the safety, 6-point belts to keep us tight in the seat, which is important, especially on a rough event like this. Fuses, all nicely set out there for us. If we've got a problem, we can change the fuse ourselves. And then the usual switches for the lights, the extra pumps and gauges. Then obviously the fuel gauge is important for Peter, and that's fuel pressure, volts, oil pressure, boost, rev counter and water temperature. We've got a fan cut-off, which I haven't had before. The very purpose of that is I can switch the electric fans off if we go into deep water to stop throwing it all over the engine and maybe getting in the spark plugs and stopping altogether. This big cooler you can see here is the intercooler. That's for cooling the air that comes from the turbocharger. The turbochargers run from exhaust gases. Of course, this gets very hot. 950 degrees centigrade is the running temperature, so you can imagine how hot that air is coming from the turbo. The air comes through the scoop in the bonnet to cool that air down before it goes into the engine. If there's a problem with the turbocharger, I can come out and disconnect the oil feed, so it enables us to keep going to get to service. On the front you can see some unusual sort of flaps looking here. That's because of the mud problems. And the idea of having the lights up on the side of the car is obviously they're up out of the way of the mud. And if these do get covered in mud, then you've still got the 2 spotlights on the side up out of the way, so you've got some light to see where you're going. We can have a quick look around the back as well. The battery's kept in here, which is in a sealed box, in case you go upside down, obviously, so it doesn't spill everywhere. And then we have the fuel tank, which is 100 litres. As you can see, it's a bag tank. So if you had an accident, the idea is that it wouldn't split under impact, and it would just give and go round if you hit something hard. That's safety on all rally cars.
On the day before the start of the rally, the Ngong racecourse in Nairobi becomes a large open-air showroom. The cars, gleaming and unblemished, are turned out for scrutineering. The 3 main contenders are Lancia, Toyota and Nissan. Llewellyn, in his first World Championship rally, knows that much will depend on teamwork, and he is prepared to learn from the advice and experience of those around him.
We've got Stig Blomqvist, the #1 driver, and he's got years and years of experience, and he's helped me quite a lot on bits and pieces with the car and so forth, and he seemed to have taken me more under his wing than seen me as a threat, which is good. One thing he said was if the weather does change, very often the villagers cut big ditches across the road each side of the village to stop the water washing down the road. So he said if it does rain, be very careful each side of villages, and you've got to take a little bit of money with you, so if you get stuck in the mud hole, you can pay them to push you out. But he said, don't pay them before they push you out. Pay them after, unless they all disappear.
It's the longest and most difficult rally in the World Championship series, but it's also one of the nicest ones. I like very much to be here, and especially this rally.
It's a particular rally because you have not special stages and you have to drive carefully but quick at the same time. So it's going to be interesting for that.
I would hope to repeat what I did last year, what means a win, but that is difficult, very difficult.
No, this is not a rally. You should not call rally. You should call another way, right or something in between. The philosophy of the race is completely different, and then you have to change your mind.
I'm going flat out from the start.
It's more like endurance race. There you have to go bloody quick most of the time and no service time. That's the biggest problem.
Yeah, the tactic is difficult, but I try to keep him like a racehorse, a bit close in the possibilities, and then okay, after the second day we can see where we are, and then maybe we can go on a little.
It's just so different to anything else in European rallying. I was said earlier that you do a 15-mile stage in the UK or any European rally, and then you drive to the next stage relaxed at whatever speed you like, and you maybe stop for 10 minutes, quarter of an hour to service the car. Here, it all comes out of your rally time. So if you stop to change your tyres, then that costs you time. So you go as long as you can without changing anything on the car, because it all costs you time. So all the time you go in for the full day, the 10 hours or the 12 hours. And of course then the conditions here. You can be doing 145 mile an hour in some places, and you can be up in the mountains through the tea plantations doing 20 mile an hour over rocks and bumps and very rough. So big variant, and of course the length of the whole thing when you're not allowed any service. It's just so different altogether. I'm getting a little bit nervous now. It's the day before the event, and it's always the worst time the couple of days before. You're thinking about the event and thinking how will it go, and everything's so new. And discussed it with Peter, and he said, look, you must drive really slowly. If you think you're driving slowly, then you're still driving too fast. So I'm going to rely on him to dictate the pace and tell me whether I'm going too fast or too slow. And really, I see my job in the team more as the sort of anchor man, because I'm the newcomer. Then perhaps it's my job to take it easy and hopefully get to the finish without any big problems.
And this was the first problem: torrential African rain. Testing had been done in dry conditions. Apparently the first lesson to be learned is that one should never take anything for granted in the land of the Maasai. It is time for the battle to begin. The long wait is over. The arduous hours of testing are a memory. At the Kenyatta Conference Center in Nairobi on the morning of the start, the adrenaline pumps are being switched on. There's a pulsating air of expectancy as the crowds gather, and under the watchful gaze of Jomo Kenyatta, the cars are assembled, and the drivers walk like toreadors into the ring. One has to believe that David Llewellyn is nervous, but it doesn't show. This is the beginning of his journey. As the countdown comes to an end, the Argentinian Recalde in his Lancia Delta is the first to leave the start ramp. 22 minutes later, it is Llewellyn's turn. His long wait is at last over. Llewellyn on the super special stage at Nagong Racecourse, a stage specially prepared for spectator enjoyment. After leaving Nairobi, the competitors head towards the first real leg of the rally, which takes them towards Makindu Temple. This is Llewellyn's view of the route.
Keep right, rock, 70. Long 2 left and turn 3 right. 100.
During the first section, there weren't any signs of rain. There were a few mud holes, but the overnight dampness did keep the dust down. Recalde was leading the Lancia Challenge. Early in the first section, reigning world champion Carlos Sainz in his Toyota took the lead. By the end of the first day, his closest rival was teammate Bjorn Valdegaard, winner of last year's rally. Mikael Eriksson, the third member of the Toyota team, wasn't far behind, but he seemed to be playing a waiting game, hoping that the leaders might make some unforeseen errors of judgment. The first Nissan on the road was that driven by Blomqvist, but that was a privilege he was soon to forfeit. Kankkunen, after a slight coming together with some straw bales on the super special stage in Nairobi, was making good progress and was up amongst the leaders. For the Welshman on his first outing, there didn't seem to be any problems. He was driving a steady, sensible and patient rally. His policy was to stay firmly on the road and keep his car in good shape.
Twisty, 3 right, tightens, 3 left, 70, 73 left, 50, 1 right, and 2 right.
But if things were all right for Llewellyn, the same wasn't true for the Nissan team in general. Somewhere in the early part of the first section, Blomqvist in the leading Nissan holed his sump. He was losing oil faster than it could be replenished, and it was a wonder that he was able to reach Makindu Temple without seizing up his engine.
Oh, it's nothing really. We came over the crest and had a little jump, and it was a little dip just after the jump. So we hit the sump guard, and there was a crack in the sump. We have lost, compared with other, I could reckon 40 minutes more. But it's a long rally, it's just the beginning.
You can make the time up.
We'll try anyway. It's the only thing we can do. We can't go home anyway. It's too early for that.
Best of luck. Cheers.
The chase car, which was supplying Blomqvist with fresh oil every 10 kilometers, also had its problems. It rolled.
And he was using approximately 4 liters every 10 kilometers. We were having this, or Stig was stopping. We were filling him up. The helicopter was supplying us with fuel. 70k section or 90k section, I'm not quite sure which. We managed to turn the chase car over on the way down as well. So not a very happy day, but at least we're here.
With a new sump fitted, an operation completed in less than half an hour, Blomqvist was on his way again. But by now he was well down the field, with a lot of lost time to make up. As the first day came to an end, Llewellyn was performing well, and he was up to 6th position, a remarkable feat for someone in his first World Championship event. It promised to be a good rally for the Pembrokeshire farmer.
1 right, 300 twisty, rest, 500 twisty,
One never knows what lies round the next corner, and after the tighter hills, David Llewellyn's first safari came to an abrupt end when, with impaired visibility, he collided with a Subaru driven by Alwi Hassan. Fortunately and miraculously, there were no fatalities, but it was a close shave. The Welshman made the headlines, but unfortunately for him, not for the right reasons.
I was coming out of the junction to go to service, and this rally car was coming the other direction at very high speed, and with the side windows muddy in the car, I just didn't see him. And we stopped at the junction and pulled out, and he was coming down very quickly, and we just had to come in together. It's been a long time out here with a lot of work, and you know, things were going so well, which is disappointing, and there's nothing you can do. I mean, accidents happen like that, and it was so quick, and you know, you felt like you wanted to go on.
Sainz, firmly in the lead, was to remain there until the penultimate leg, but on day 5 he was forced to retire with a broken conrod. Kankkunen in the Lancia took over the lead, and he was to stay there throughout the final day. After Sainz had dropped out, his teammate Ericsson moved up to second place behind Kankkunen. The Lancia team had lost one car on the second day when Miki Biasion had a road accident, but his teammate Ricalde was to finish the rally in 3rd place. At one point, Valdegaard had been joint leader with Sainz, but on the 3rd leg between Nairobi and Nakuru, the Swede rolled his car, for the first time in 7 years, according to the driver, but he would carry on to finish in 4th place. After losing 40 minutes on the first day because of that sump problem, Benny Melander had said it was too early to go home. He was so right. Blomqvist and his co-driver in their Nissan Sunny were to finish 5th. The blue and white flags proclaim a victory for Finland. There are no red dragons in this Kenyan celebration. For the Welsh, it is time to reflect on what might have been. And as Kankkunen and his co-driver toast another win for Lancia, the Pembrokeshire farmer will know that in spite of his disappointment, he has learned much from his first experience of that grueling journey in the land of the Maasai. But he will be back, and undoubtedly he will face that same journey again, the journey known in Swahili as safari.
Thank you.